Hi everybody, Sandra here with Outside the Box Soaps. So today I'm actually working on part of a project that I started in an earlier video. There's a video on making whip soap or making piping out of rebatched soap. And in that episode, what I was trying to do was find a way to put some whipped cream in between these little brown sort of cake pieces that I made. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but what I'm trying to do is figure out how I can make some push pops, cake push pops out of soap. So this is the piping that's in here, and the next step that I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to encase these in some clear melt and pour. And then once that's done, what I'm going to do is try to pipe some whipped cream on the top and then have them go into one of these push pop cases. I don't know whether people actually want this. It's just sort of an idea I've been trying to work on and work out. So we will see how it goes. But what I've done here to get ready is I've got a toilet paper roll in here for each of the little push pop cakes that I want to make. And I have lined each of those with some parchment paper here. And I do want to just say this to you, if you're going to try to do something like this, what you need to do, and I think I just moved my scissors, but you need to make sure that your liner is pretty close to the size of the container. So in this case it would be the toilet paper roll. Because if there's too much paper in there, you're going to have a hard time getting your pieces in there. So I've taken each of these and I've really heavily hot glued the bottom, so that when I pour the clear melt and pour in, there won't be any soap leaking out. And then I've put a liner in, and then I've taken each one and I've just dropped it sort of in there. And the next step will be to get the melt and pour, to pour that in and to see how they do in terms of getting encased in melt and pour. And I think that they'll look a lot better once they're like that. So this is one that I tried before. This is my failed experiment in doing this previously. There were a number of problems. One was that the soap I used for the icing here all discolored, and it got very hard and I wasn't able to pipe. But just for a test, I did try to do this with the toilet paper roll just to see if it will work out, and it does work in terms of getting a coating on there of melt and pour clear. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to just prepare my melt and pour, and I'm going to fill these up. And then once they're set up, I'll come back and let you see how we take them apart and what we come up with. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, back just for a minute. I've got some melt and pour here, and it dawned on me that I should probably add to you this information for you. Before you actually pour that in, you wanna check your temperature, because right now this is at 164 degrees, and if I pour that in there, it's going to melt the pieces that I've already put in. So you want to try to give this a chance to settle down a bit and try to get it down below 130 before you actually put it into the forms here, and that way we'll make sure that it doesn't melt those brown pieces and the whipped cream that's in there. Okay, so I'm gonna not make you wait for that to happen because it could take a few minutes, and I will come back when things have been poured. Okay folks, so we've got these out and I am kind of liking them. I think I may trim it up a little bit because some of the clear went up higher than this, but I am going to continue with this and try to see if I can make these pops, these push pop soaps. So just to show you, you may have to peel off your cardboard toilet paper roll and actually kind of tear it up to get these out. It's not the kind of thing where you're going to be able to just pull the liner out and get them out. These are really pretty tight, so there was not a lot of wiggle room or a lot of space in there. But I'm going to probably trim these down, and then I will film making the whip topping that I'm going to put on top so that you can see that. And then we'll cover them with some whipped cream and see if we can get them into those push pops. Okay, so thank you. Thanks for watching, and just hang out, I guess, for a little bit, and the next segment will be there. Thanks. Bye. Okay, so we're back now, and I've actually cleaned up the pieces that are going to go into the push pop soap molds. And now what I need to do is get them to secure in this little circle here. So what I'm using is some melt and pour that's colored brown. I'm just going to put a little small layer of that right in the bottom, and then I'm going to take this whole piece and just put it in there, because if you don't do this, when I try playing around with these, they will pop right out of the soap pop or the push pop container. So to try and keep them secured in there so that the soap doesn't pop out on the person who's trying to use it, this will solve that problem and give it some kind of a base down at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that with each of these, and then I'm going to come back, and you may want to come back and watch the next step in this process, because I'm going to be trying something that I just found out about. It's a way to make whipped soap, and you don't use any heat at all, and I think that you'll find it very interesting. So make sure you come back. Okay. So now all of the push pop cakes have been secured in their little holders, and the next thing that I'm going to do is something that I'm really excited about. This is a recipe that I found for making soap that is whipped soap. So it's a little different than what you would typically do, in that everything is cold in this process, including your lye solution. So the first thing that you do, and I'm making pretty much a small batch here. What I have in the bowl is palm oil, coconut oil. I'm going to be adding some olive oil as well. And that's it. Those are the only oils that are going into this. And then I'm going to add the lye. But the first thing that you do with this recipe is to whip the hard oils. So you don't melt them at all. You just leave them in a bowl. And I'm going to use the whisk, and I'm going to get them whipped. So let's see how this turned out. So that is a nice, creamy, fluffy mixture right there. The next thing I'm going to do here is to add my olive oil. And once that's in there, we're going to whip again. Let me just see if I can widen this view a bit for you. Okay. So we're back to whipping, whip, whip, whip. Now that has flattened out a little bit when I added the olive oil in there. So the next thing that I'm going to be putting in here is my lye water, and in this particular recipe, this lye water is cold. It's not room temperature and it's not warm, it is actually cold. So I've had this sitting in an ice bath and I can feel that it's cold. So I'm going to add this in. I'm going to do a little at a time, and hopefully it won't deflate the whole thing here. Okay, so I hope I'm not making you dizzy with all of this movement back and forth, but you can see that this has whipped up really, really nicely. And one of the things with this particular kind of soap is that you probably, it's best not to fragrance it because the fragrance may flatten it. It really depends on what oil you're using. And since I do have fragrance in the other pieces, I'm not going to fragrance this. And I don't think I'm going to color it either, because I would like sort of a creamy looking color to this. And that's about what I've got at this point. So let's take the piping bag, get some in here, and let's see how this soap pipes. The nice thing about this, and this is actually the first time I'm doing it, but my understanding is that this will stay pliable for you for about a half an hour, which is really a nice long time, giving you lots of freedom to be able to do what you want with the pieces. So now we've got that. I'm going to put the bowl aside here. Let's bring in these pops into view. And I'm ready to pipe. So let's see what happens here. That is piping just beautifully. Very, very nice. Now this soap will not have the same consistency as the rest of your soap. So when you do a whipped soap, it's very light and airy, and it actually floats. I guess like those old Ivory commercials, the soap that floats. So maybe that's a whipped soap that they use, a whipped process that they use for creating ivory. I don't know, but I really do like the way this is piping. I feel that I've got, my God, lots of time to work with it. It doesn't feel like it's freezing up or stiffening up on me at all. You still do need to let this set and cure, because we did actually make soap from the beginning. Just used a little bit of a different process. There really were no hot oils. Everything that we did here was cold. And it does produce a different product. It's not as heavy. It's pretty light. But it will get hard, and apparently it adheres to the older soap. It will adhere to these tops with no problem. So this will be a test. It's an experiment, and we'll see how it all works out. So that's sort of it. I'm just going to finish piping these up, and then I'm going to add a little something. I'm not sure if I'm going to add glitter or might add a little cherry on the top, but anyway, I will come back and we'll let you see the process. Alright, so thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and please, if you have any comments, I'd love to hear them. Just leave them in the box below. Thanks again from Outside the Box Soaps. Hey, we're back, and here are the finished product, my push pops. I think they're looking pretty good. The cherry made it a little too high to be able to put the lid on. So instead they're sitting on the lid. That's a base. And I most likely will wrap these in shrink wrap. So that's how the finished piece looks. I really enjoyed using that whipped soap, and it was great to pipe. It lasted a while. I even did a couple of bars that were sitting there just to use it up because I didn't want it to go to waste. So if you like this idea, feel free to try. If not, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and have a great day.